I'm joined now by poet Courtney Jones. Courtney, thank you for sitting down with me today. I'm really excited about what you do because you're not just a poet. You are I think maybe one of the most unconventional poets I've ever heard of. Let's talk about how you began writing poetry.
Sure. Well, I've been writing for a really, really long time. I remember just being a kid and always kind of running to my journal, and not necessarily poetry, but just journaling. And I think I developed poetry as a practice more in my high school years. And then I took a lot of college courses as well. I was an English major, and any extra courses or electives that I could take, I was running to creative writing and poetry. So, I mean, it's been in my blood for as long as I can remember. But
Do you enjoy reading poetry as much as you do writing it?
I do, but I haven't always. I think I started as a writer, which I think is maybe the opposite for a lot of my poet friends. They read first and then they turned to writing, but for me, I was always writing, and then I was kind of discovering poetry and just famous poetry in the process, and I love reading now just as much as I love writing.
Do you go back and read your own poems from those high school years or earlier in life?
Not often, but I do have a box of journals that I revisit every once in a while when I want, inspiration. So it's a huge box just full of black moleskin journals, and I'll visit those every once in a while. So
you were saying that as you were getting ready this morning, you were looking out the window and you had to tell yourself, turn off your poetry brain, which is so interesting to me. So does it really feel like kind of a lens through which you view things?
Yeah, definitely. A friend of mine and I were just talking at a coffee shop this weekend, and he's a really great writer as well. We just went back and forth talking about how sometimes it's even hard to connect with the real world because the real world asks us to turn that part off, but it's so much a part of who we are that we can't escape it even as much as we try to turn it off. And I think everybody is born with that magic. I mean, we're breathing human beings, we're alive in this world together, but just our daily life asks us to kind of turn that off a little bit. So it's definitely a lens that I wear all the time, and sometimes have to, quiet a little
Right.
bit.
Well, in one instance where you don't quiet that lens is this business you've started.
Sure.
Which is fascinating to me. When I said that you're unconventional, it's because I've never heard of such a thing.
Sure.
You interview people and write a poem about that person or that exchange right there on the spot with your typewriter. How did that begin?
Sure. I think this is like the hardest question that I get because I feel like it's still unfolding, but in 2016, I was just going through a lot, and I was turning to writing more than ever before, and I was really connecting my writing and sharing my writing with the people around me, specifically one friend who I think is just a brilliant human, and I value his, poetic voice as well. And I shared my writing with him. We were just driving. We were constantly driving places, and I would just read along the way. And he's like, why are you not sharing this with people? And it just kind of occurred to me that was something that I wasn't being public about. I'm so much a people person. I'm a teacher. I, do so much storytelling just in my daily life, but I wasn't taking my personal writing out in the world. So I think he encouraged me to kind of start thinking about that. And in the process, I was at, public spaces like coffee shops and just wherever I was in the world. And I would go up to someone that was working there, usually someone that I kind of knew. And I'd say, hey, like, what's on your mind today? And they'd, tell me a little bit, kind of be caught off guard for a minute. They'd tell me a little bit, and I'd go back to my seat and just quietly write them a poem, not typewritten, but handwritten, and just handed it to them. And I watched sort of this whole idea unfold while they were moved by something, just by somebody asking them how their day was. So I thought, I need to do this, and I need to find a way to do this. So that led me to the farmer's market.
So you go to the farmer's market, and not just the farmer's market, but now you're doing parties and various events. you go to the farmer's market, you set up your typewriter, and very little signage.
Yes.
Which is by design.
Yes.
So let's explain that.
Sure. So, I mean, I'm a minimalist at heart anyway, and I thought I want to go and just be bare bones and kind of see what happens. So my dad was so sweet to build me this desk made out of upcycled wood, which is also really important to my mission. And I took an old typewriter with me and just sat down and said, just going to call myself the Poem Market. You tell me what you want to tell me, and you can pay what you want. And here we are. We'll see what happens. And I kind of like that model. It's just fun to see how people interact with it because it's so different than everything else that's done at the market or anywhere, really. So yeah, to just watch people come up and be like, what are you doing? That's usually the first question I get. What are you doing?
Yeah.
And I say, well, I'm waiting for stories and I want to
You
write
flip
you a
the
story.
script. What are you
exactly.
doing?
What are you doing? Here you go. Tell me your life.
Yes. So I said that you started this business.
Yes.
But in reality, you aren't really monetizing your writing in that way because
Right.
like you said, people are able to pay what they can pay.
Yeah, exactly.
For these pieces. What made you decide to go with that model?
Sure. I mean, I wish the whole world operated by that. I love the idea of trade. I love sharing skill sets. And of course, again, the world doesn't operate that way, but I thought, how can I make that happen? I can't do that at my 9-to-5 job, but how can I do that, in my own personal practice? And just opening that up allowed, kids to come up and pay me pocket change. It allowed, I don't know, anybody to pay whatever they felt like the poem was worth. And sometimes, it's just a fun thing that they run into. Other times it's like the most important thing that happened to them in a long time.
Yeah.
So paying what you can and paying what you think is appropriate for that poem is really fun.
Wow. Tell me as best you can how you go about writing these poems right there on the spot. So is
Sure.
it as you're having a conversation, are the wheels turning? Are you choosing bits and pieces? I just, especially because I don't have a poet's brain,
Yeah.
I can't even begin to fathom how that works.
Sure, yeah. I mean, it's a really weird thing that happens. I'm not quite sure what's happening, but I think most of it is just being present in the person and in their energy and in our interaction. And that can be hard to do, again, just because that's not what we do in a normal day. We're so
Right.
busy and we move on and we go on and we don't really take the time to sit down and really feel a person, And so I think most of my inspiration for writing the poem comes from the feeling and the connection and how we understand each other, and of course listening to what they share. And just, I guess my wheels are turning in the sense that I'm feeling this, presence that's so alive, and just put that into language.
Well, we're going to see you in action
Sure.
because you are going to ask me a few questions and then write a poem
do
based
it.
on our conversation.
Yeah.
I do want to thank you
Yeah,
for
thank you so much.
for talking about this fascinating art and for whatever poem comes out.
Sure.
Thanks in advance.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Appreciate it. All right, well, this is the machine.
Okay.
So, I usually start by asking just a couple questions. And since you didn't really know that I was going to put you on the spot like this, what I normally tell people to share is like a memory, a word that's on your heart, something in this season of life. That's my favorite thing to write about. I like to really sense what's going on in your world, what is important to you, what do you feel like you need to hear. And not that you write the poem, but just giving me a glimpse of what's going on internally for you. I know, that's a
heavy,
big
Courtney.
question.
Okay, let's see. What is on my heart right now for
Yeah.
sure has to be mothering.
Sure.
I have a 9-month-old.
Great.
So I think nurturing and kind of that constant question of, am I doing right by her?
Sure.
And what does that look like?
Yeah.
And how do I continue to nurture my other relationships
Sure.
and my jobs
Yeah.
and all
That
of that?
balance of being a mom.
Yes,
Sure.
yeah,
And
yeah.
is this your first
Yeah.
child? And what's her name?
Her name's Nora.
Nora. How did you
Yeah.
choose that name?
My husband and I just always liked it,
Yeah.
and we wanted something that was kind of classic, but not, necessarily old-fashioned. And I don't know,
Sure.
it just
Yeah.
it was always on the list, and it rose to the
Yeah,
top.
I love that name. In
you.
Arabic, it means light. So that's a really special thing too.
I
Maybe
didn't
can
know
translate
that.
that here. Yeah, it means light. It's a very nice word.
Maybe it's because I'm tired, but that makes me a little emotional.
No, that's important to know. Cool. Well, I think I have a sense of that already.
Okay, so now
and
I just
something to
I
say.
sit back and let you do your
Yeah,
thing.
you can watch, you can hang out, you can wait.
This is
whatever
fascinating.
you want to do. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Emily?
I-E. E-M-I-L-I-E.
Perfect. Glad I asked. All right. Can I read it to you?
Yes, please.
Cool. Mother bird balance for Emily. The world shifts, shakes, turns in the night. We open our wide wings, find a sweet song blooming in our belly. We wake one day to the bright white light and hear a soft cry. This is the young we were meant to teach to fly. The sweet motion of learning how to give all we can give to our blood, to our spirit, to our own bird song. This is for you.
Stop. Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here, but mostly for this.
Yeah, of course. You know, Nora means light too. You can think
Yeah.
of that when you read it.
That is beautiful. Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah.
For more information, find the Poem Market on Facebook.
Arts in Focus on PBS Fort Wayne is funded in part by